Hi, Emily Nielsen here, getting ready to prepare my last dish or series of dishes for Cooking Lab 8 raw foods. It's going to be a 3-course meal that involves an avocado soup, some fudge pops, and a raw lasagna, or interpretation of a lasagna. So I'm going to make it fairly brief because I do have 3 dishes to go through and a time limit. So here we go. So I wasn't able to find a light coconut milk that didn't have sulfites in it where I live, which I'm allergic to and I don't really want my family to have, so I did end up using the regular coconut milk, not the light version. I had to purchase a few of the ingredients online because I wasn't able to find the mesquite powder, which is new to me. I'm excited to give that a try. I have made something similar to this before, but I didn't use the mesquite powder, and it had a few other ingredients. So I've got a half a cup of the coconut milk, half a cup of purified water, 1/4 cup of the cacao powder, 1/4 cup of the mesquite powder, and then 2 tablespoons of the organic grating maple syrup. Okay, so now that our fudge pops are in the freezer and getting chilled for tonight, I'm going to do some of the prep work for the wild mushroom lasagna, butternut squash, and wilted spinach. Now, because the lasagna is all about layers, I'm going to be showing one layer at a time. One will be the squash, then the ricotta with the made from cashews, which I've already actually prepared in the previous module. The mushrooms, which are going to act as the meat replacement in the lasagna, and then the spinach. So let's get going. So now that I've got my butternut squash sliced nice and thinly with my mandolin, I'm going to go ahead and give it a little soak in some extra virgin olive oil and a generous amount of salt to let them soften up a little bit. Since we will be eating them raw, we don't want to be having that crunch necessarily in our lasagna texture. So we'll let these soak for at least 30 minutes and then give them a rinse before we add them to our raw lasagna. Alright, so now that I've got my butternut squash getting ready, I'm going to wash and chop up my mushroom layer, which is going to be some cremini mushrooms, some oyster mushrooms, and some shiitake mushrooms that I'm going to, 2 cups of the shiitake and then 1 of the other. And then I'm going to mix those with some tamari sauce and fresh lemon juice and some olive oil. I'm going to go ahead and wash these, chop them up nice with my awesome knife, and then get them marinating so they also soften up so they have a nice texture for the lasagna. So I've got my 4 cups total of mushrooms here that are all nice and diced up, and they're going to be like our kind of our hamburger essence that you would normally expect in a lasagna. Got a tablespoon of my gluten-free soy sauce, a tablespoon of my lemon juice. We're going to do 3 tablespoons of olive oil and some fresh salt, or some freshly ground salt, and pepper. I'm going to let these sit for about 30 minutes, probably a little bit more because I'm going to need to make my soup next. The reason I waited till last to make the soup, even though it's going to be the first thing we're going to eat, is because it is an avocado-based soup. And I have a little experience with avocados and they like to turn brown. So I want my soup to be the freshest, and these other things are going to be able to sit for a little bit, whereas the soup I want to make right before we eat it. So I'm getting ready to prepare the last layer of my lasagna, and that's the spinach. And I've got 6 cups of organic triple washed baby spinach. I've got 2 tablespoons of freshly squeezed lemon juice, 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. Then what smells amazing right now is that I've got a tablespoon of freshly minced oregano and a tablespoon of freshly minced thyme. The smell is phenomenal, and it's totally worth using the fresh herbs as opposed to the other ones because, or the dried. The flavor and the smell is just totally worth it. I'm going to massage the spinach by hand for just a few minutes, being pretty gentle, but just enough to get it wilted so that it'll layer nicely with our lasagna. Okay, so last week when I invented what I thought I was inventing, cashew ricotta cheese, was actually something that I needed for this recipe this week. So I was pretty thrilled with that, but I don't have a great video to show you because it's already made and it's perfect. So what I did do is I soaked 2 cups of cashews in distilled water for about 3 to 4 hours, and then I blended them together with some nutritional yeast, lemon juice, and salt, and it came out took me about 5 minutes, and it came out to this delicious creamy texture, which is going to be the ricotta in our lasagna today. So I'm getting ready to make the appetizer for the 3-course meal, which is going to be an avocado veloute soup. So I've got 3 brilliantly, perfectly ripe organic avocados that I was able to get from Costco. One that skin is so brilliantly ripe, it's stuck to it. I'm going to add about a half a cup of fresh cilantro leaves, 2 tablespoons of freshly squeezed lemon juice, a cup of water, about a half a tablespoon of white organic miso, which I'm really excited about because I love that flavor. It's really salty, a little Asian inspired. And then 2 cups of the hemp milk, the raw hemp milk that I made last week, which I'm glad to have a great use for that, and salt and pepper to taste in this avocado soup. It's going to be delicious. So, I was going to make a video of me enjoying the delicious avocado veloute soup and the mushroom butternut squash spinach lasagna, but it was too delicious and I didn't really pause a lot for photography. So, here's what happened. The veloute was a brilliant texture. It was almost like whipped cream, like a topping, but it was a little bit bland. The avocado taste, of course, I love, delicious. The cilantro, fantastic. It needed a little bit of salt, which I added, but it still just didn't have enough, I don't know if it was texture or what it was for me. So what I ended up doing was adding a little bit of white pepper, which was fantastic, and eating it with my rosemary almond crackers that I made last week, and it was perfection. It was just like a little, almost like, felt like dessert because it was a mousse on the cracker. Then the avocado, or the lasagna, fantastic. The texture was amazing. You had the really soft mushrooms, and then still just a little bit leafy, not completely mushy spinach, and then the butternut squash, which was still crisp and crunchy, but didn't feel like you were just eating a raw squash, which was fantastic. My only complaint would be that it seemed really tart, really lemony, and I'm not sure if that's because I just overdid it when I was seasoning, but I think it was almost a little too salty and lemony for me, and I would probably tone that back a little bit if I made it another time. The cashew ricotta, fantastic, really great flavor. Overall, it was delicious, and I had several neighbors poking their head in the door wanting a serving, so I better go make them some more. I do have to wait to try my cocoa fudge popsicles because I only made 4 and I have 4 kids, and if they see me eating one, there's gonna be an uprising. So I'll wait to review that until after they go to bed. So for the coconut fudge freezer pops, I thought they were delicious. They had a little bit of an aftertaste and they weren't overly sweet, but I think that was good. Because the meal was just rather like calm and soothing, so it didn't need to have this huge burst of sugar by any means. My only complaint was that it was very rich, which isn't really a complaint, except for that I made huge popsicles out of them. So by the time I was halfway done, I was really ready to be done with it. So I think in the future I would make a smaller version, either half fill the containers I have or use a small cup and a popsicle stick. So overall, a fantastic meal. It was a great way to end it with something cold and a little sweet, but also, of course, had that great, fat from the coconut milk, which was really satisfying. And overall, really great meal. Thanks.